And I call first of all Ruth Maguire, to be followed by Maurice Corrie.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I welcome the great importance the Scottish Government places in being a good global citizen. It's right that we play our part in tackling the global challenges of poverty, injustice and inequality. I commend the Scottish Government's overarching ethos of international solidarity in an interdependent world. And of course, the cross-party support for international development in the Scottish Parliament has been a key feature underpinning the Scottish Government's international development work since 2005, and long may that continue. At the forefront of the Scottish Government's efforts is the International Development Fund, along with the new Humanitarian Emergency Fund, which aims to support and empower Scotland's partner countries, Malawi, Rwanda, Zambia and Pakistan. All of the Scottish Government's international development work now contributes to sustainable development and the fight against poverty, injustice and inequality internationally within the framework of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. These are the globally agreed priorities for tackling poverty and inequality in UN member states. Scotland was one of the first countries to commit publicly to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goal 16 is to promote just, peaceful and inclusive societies. Conflict, insecurity, weak institutions and limited access to justice remain a great threat to sustainable development. The number of people fleeing war, persecution and conflict exceeded 70 million in 2018, the highest level recorded by the UN Refugee Agency in almost 70 years. In 2019, the United Nations tracked 357 killings and 13 forced disappearances of human rights defenders, journalists and trade unionists in 47 countries. The helpful briefing that MSPs received from SCIAF speaks to the importance of human rights defenders and acknowledges that around the world it's increasingly dangerous for citizens to defend their human rights. SCIAF commends Scotland's proud record of supporting human rights defenders and encourages the Scottish Government to continue this work, urging it to challenge the drivers of human rights violations and environmental damage. They commend the Scottish Government's Human Rights Defenders Fellowship, which provides much needed respite for human rights defenders, as well as learning and networking opportunities. It's clear that COVID-19 will remain a threat for some time to come, and it's right that the Scottish Government is reviewing its international development programme in light of the coronavirus pandemic. The review and open discussion on their approach to international development should ensure the Scottish Government is focusing its contribution on areas where it can make the biggest difference against this backdrop of the new reality of COVID-19. And should also ensure that as much Scottish Government funding as possible reaches the partner countries which need it most. The UN Secretary-General urged governments to be transparent, responsive and accountable in their COVID-19 response and ensure that any emergency measures are legal, proportionate, necessary and non-discriminatory, saying the best response is one that responds proportionately to immediate threats while protecting human rights and the law. And of course, human rights put people at the centre. Responses that are shaped by and respect human rights will result in better outcomes in beating the pandemic and ensuring healthcare for everyone and preserving human dignity. Sound guiding principles for all of us and as true domestically as they are internationally. Presiding Officer.